Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and as you can see, this is the Northwoods Hawthorne Jack in Camel bone. And so this is the most recent release from Northwoods Knives here in 2024, and it is made by Great Eastern Cutlery, like most of their folding knives are for the past several years. And this is a pattern that I have not had from Northwoods. So the Hawthorne Jack is a slim trapper. Now there have been other versions of the Hawthorne, notably that had a clip point, but this is the Wharncliffe version. So you have a classic slim trapper handle, but then a really long, slender Wharncliffe blade. And now, first of all, as normal with these Northwoods knives, they don't come in a tube like a lot of other knives made by Great Eastern Cutlery. Northwoods is its own brand, and they come in these bags. They come with a sticker and then a copper coin. So just some nice little extras, and then they always come with a slip also, which is a nice thing, I think, if you're going to carry and use this knife. It'd be nice to have a slip that you know will fit it, and these work perfectly fine. As you saw there at the beginning, you can put it in. It's going to cover the knife so that it doesn't get scratched up in your pocket, but then you can squeeze the slip and the knife will slide right out. So just some nice extras, but this is the camel bone version, and they also had a couple micarta versions, as well as some of the admins for the Northwoods Facebook group got mammoth versions. So there were only a couple of those, and they didn't go up for sale on the site. But I decided to check out, or to try to check out, one of these camel bone versions because, like I say, I haven't had this pattern from Northwoods, and also I don't have any camel bone in my collection right now, so I wanted to check it out. Notably, recently at the GC Rendezvous, they had some knives that were in camel bone. I didn't buy one at the Rendezvous, but they looked really cool. So if you're not familiar with Northwoods, they are very difficult to get. Great Eastern Cutlery made knives in general sell out really, really quickly online when they drop. One of the good things about Northwoods is that they, do a great job of letting you know ahead of time when they will drop. So it's no secret. And Jay and everyone at Knife Ship Free, which is, who owns the Northwoods brand, sends out emails ahead of time, lets you know when it's happening. It's at a pretty reasonable time, in my opinion. It's at 4 p.m., or it has been recently. And so, it's a drop. They drop, they go up on the site, and they sell out pretty quickly. I think that these were available for maybe like 2 minutes, something like that, is what Jay said. And I actually first looked at the stragglers to see if there were any, other patterns, particularly the Barlow patterns from Northwoods. Wasn't able to get one of those. I tried to get a Heritage Jack and was not able to. Went back, and I think I actually put a separate, or maybe two different camel bone Hawthorns in my cart, and they were sold out, and I was able to go back and get this one. So I was kind of surprised that I was able to go back basically a third time and get one, but I was also happy with the bone that I got. So you can see this has kind of an interesting, almost salmon nectarine orange color to it with some black flecks. Really nice looking, I think, on the front there, and then especially on the back, it almost has kind of a similar look to bark ivory with the dark kind of character lines in there. And so I think both sides look great. If both the show and pile side had this look, I think I would prefer that, but they're both great. Now, the fit of the spring to the liners is good. No gaps that I see there. There are some gaps, very little gaps, between the covers and the bolsters. That's something that I have found to be pretty common on GEC made knives over the last at least year or two, and certainly something that wasn't, never to be seen previous to that, but probably more so in the last year or two. So just very slight gaps. I don't really even know how well you'll be able to see them in the video, but between the cover and the bolster here and here, I think you can probably see it on this one. This one's a little bit bigger, but they're both small, but there. You know, at least I noticed them. The blade, slightly off center, but not an issue. It's not going to touch the liners or anything like that. The tip actually is not proud, so I was happy with that. Sometimes GEC makes Wharncliffe or sheepfoot blades have really high tips for some reason, but this one is well covered, particularly with the hump of the cap and bolster there. The action on this is nice. I would call it like a 6, something like that, and snaps closed nicely. These Northwoods do have this kind of what you might call a brute de forge finish, which is basically just it. They leave the heat treat scale on it somewhat on the flats, and that can make them a little bit rougher right off the bat as compared to a GEC knife that has either a satin or a polished finish. But this one's pretty good. I think you could probably hit it with some mineral oil and oil the joint and it would be even smoother, but no issue. Not like the Heritage jacks that they're so thick that the blade hits the liners and makes it so you have to push it closed at first and stuff like that. So nice on that. This is very pinchable because it is the Wharncliffe and sits pretty well above the frame there, so very pinchable. Now, one thing, I have not used this knife, probably won't, to be completely honest, but this is a really not high grind. So Northwoods knives tend to have saber grinds, almost always have saber grinds. It's one of the cool things about them aesthetically, for sure. I really like it on some of the models, particularly the Heritage Jack, and I am looking for a Big Bay or Little Bay or Madison Barlow, any of the Barlows from Northwoods knives. But on this knife, because it's a pretty slender blade, it's it's a pretty short grind. So I don't know, I haven't used this knife, but I would not imagine that this is one of the slicier GEC made knives out there, just because, again, it has this saber grind that only goes up about half the height of the blade, and the blade height is not very tall. So just be aware of that. Now, I want to give you some size comparisons. So I don't have a GEC number 48, which is their version of this pattern. I have had one in all the time that I've had GEC knives. For whatever reason, I just haven't gravitated towards it. I actually do think that the Slim Trapper is a very practical pattern. I just haven't ended up getting one. But here is a Queen utility trapper, which is basically the same thing. And then here is the classic case full-size normal trapper. So you can see that the Hawthorne is closer to the utility from Queen, but a little bit less slender. It's going to be a little bit less slender than a case slimline trapper, even though I don't have one of those. But definitely a slender and relatively easy to carry knife for the length of the blade that you're getting, considering that it's a traditional knife. So you get a pretty full-size blade, full-length blade, in a pretty slim handle. So I think it's a really cool knife. Like I say, I don't know that I'm going to carry or use this one. I am hoping to trade it for one of the Barlow models from Northwoods knives. So if you have one and would like to trade it, reach out. You can use the contact form that I have in the description, or leave a comment even. But get a hold of me if you would like to trade this for one of the Northwoods Barlow models. But I'm certainly happy to have gotten it. I think that Jay and everyone there at Knife Ship Free do a great job. These are really reasonably priced for how in demand they are. So this version was, I think, $170, and the micarta versions were less. I think they were $140. So it's not I'm not saying it's an inexpensive knife, but considering people immediately started trying to sell them for $400+, they are keeping them at a reasonable cost, I think. So I appreciate that, and great service from Knife Ship Free. As always, I got it quickly and no issues there. So make sure you check out Knife Ship Free. I do have a link an affiliate link to them in the description. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Leave any comments you have below. I'm always interested to hear those. Also, check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. Make sure you subscribe via email there. That way you get my newsletter and all of the Knife Thoughts content. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.